and I guess we're gonna officially let this get going.
It's kind of like a podcast.
It is
It
kind of like a podcast,
it
yeah.
honestly is, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a
Should we?
topics list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we don't get any takers in the next few minutes, do we want to start by like posting the responses of the
Uh,
survey?
I was under the impression that the responses would be anonymous, so I guess we could discuss it, but I'm not sure if we want to post it. Does
I
that make
mean,
sense?
I'm streaming the responses here. I mean, they're completely anonymous.
Oh, okay. I guess that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's high class, right? I can't know.
Kat is asking, how do you get into grad school on Twitch?
Yeah, you apply. There you go.
You
You
apply.
apply and you have a good enough application, and a lot of luck.
Honestly, Kellan, this is where you come in. This is where you give your 20-minute how to get into grad school as a about to get into grad schooler.
Well, let me tell you something.
All right, guys, sit back. He's about to preach. He's gonna drop us some wisdom.
Depends on the grad school you're applying to, but
Well, there
I
you go.
guess if you're applying to like an engineering program, have goodish grades or like, engineering skills or like anything that's a non-research based grad program, it's basically just good grades and good standardized test scores and like goodish extracurriculars. If you want to get into research-based grad school, research-based grad school in the United States is paid for, and it's paid for by universities for the first 2 years, and then professors for like X amount of years that it takes for you to get into, to get your PhD, or it's paid for by a fellowship, either of the three. So let's go under the assumption that it's 1 and 2 and you don't have a fellowship yet. Pretty much you have to convince the university and a professor that you're, worth paying for, because they're going to pay your tuition and they're going to pay you a stipend. So you're essentially applying for a job. And not only are you applying for a job, you're applying for a job that's like 100K a year in salary, because they're going to be paying for your tuition, which is like 50 to 60K, and then they're going to be paying for your living stipend, which is like 20 to 30K, sometimes even 40 for like more expensive areas. And then they also give you like that you also have a TA that you could go do over the summer, which will be another 9K. So it's like, you're paying for a job that pays yearly $100,000 to $110,000 a year. And when you apply for a job, you apply for a job with marketable skills. You gotta prove to them that you're worth paying, that you can bring 110 at the very least over. So since it's over like 5 or 6 years, you have to prove to them that you're worth at least $600,000 worth of research. At the very least, how do you prove to them that you're worth at least a $600,000 investment? Well, they make money when you do good research. So you show to them that you can do good research. And how do you do that? There's not that very many ways to do so as an undergrad. The most standardized way of doing it is show that you understand physics. How do you show that you understand physics? Well, you do well in your classes. That's one way that you could do, that you could show that you understand physics. Another way is that you could do really well in the PGRE. A third way is you could have somebody vouch for you, somebody who's like of well repute, say like, yeah, he really, really understands physics. Those are your letters of recommendation. Or you could have done, and then the other way is like, well, if you're already a really, really good researcher, who's to say that you're not going to be a really, really good researcher in graduate school? Especially because if you're a really good researcher while taking undergraduate classes, chances are you're going to be a really good researcher when you have no undergraduate class, when you have no classes to take. That's why you only have to take like 1 or 2 years worth of graduate classes, and then the rest of your time getting a PhD is just straight research and TAing. So how do you show that you're a good researcher? Usually by letters of recommendation, like joining a lab, getting undergraduate research, and impressing your professor. It's pretty rare and kind of overhyped to get a paper, because most undergrad papers they're either an nth author, in which case it's really hard to tell whether or not the person did any work in general, or they're like first author in like an okay publication. Most of the time, you're not going to be you're not going to have the time or the skills to be able to get a first author paper in something in one of the more reputed journals. So papers are not really the be all end all. It's really letters of recommendation, from what I'm able to understand. Because if somebody who's really famous and has a really well reputed lab and pumps out a bunch of papers says like, yeah, this kid is really really useful to my lab and is a really good researcher, chances are somebody else is going to the people reviewing your application are going to look at that and be like, oh, I mean, I know this guy, he does really good research. He says that this kid does really good research. I'm going to assume that they're a surefire bet. The other thing that you could show, so when schools, to show that you're worth the investment, schools kind of want to see that not only are you going to do research for them for 6 years, but you're going to go forward in academia and continue doing research. Because the more you stay in academia, the more the graduate school that you went to gains reputation. So like everyone knows that such and such, everyone knows that Feynman went to Cornell, or everyone knows Feynman went to Caltech, or everyone knows that, or a lot of people know that such and such went to Harvard, or Roger Penrose went to Oxford. Who else? Let's see. Tony Z went to Harvard. So did Weinberg went to Harvard. Doug Eardley went to actually went to Yale, MIT, Harvard, and Caltech. He kind of just jumped around a lot from what I'm able to understand. So on and so forth. So the longer you stay in academia, the more reputation your school gets. So if you show that you're a better investment, if it's pretty clear that you're going to be staying in academia, how do you do that? You TA a lot of classes. That usually helps. Show that you enjoy teaching. Show that you enjoy research, and they're going to assume that you're going to want to go into academia. Not that you have to go into academia. It's kind of a mind trap. And so pretty much, I would say in order of importance, if you want to show to a university that you're worth the investment, it's probably letters of recommendation for research, what research you did and your statement of purpose, then your grades, provided that your grades are like above a certain threshold. So like for top tier universities, you should probably have a GPA that's above a 3.5 and a major GPA that's above a 3.6 kind of thing, or in the 3.7 range. If you're below that, you should probably worry to a degree. But if you are outstanding enough in 3 things, then you're going to make up for your 4th thing. So if you don't do well in grades, if you don't have good grades, you can kind of make up for it with other stuff. Most of the time, you won't be like a perfect applicant, but that doesn't mean you won't be immediately discounted.
Honestly speaking, though, we should mention that like, what is honestly the what's it called? What's the percentage of physics undergrads that go to grad school? Like, we gotta make sure that we emphasize that going to grad school is not the be all or end all of a physics undergrad. You could go to industry, you can go to finance, you can get a master's program in somewhere else. You can, like, research is not the end all be all for physics. There are many ways in which you can use a physics degree to leverage yourself into a career that may not be research, but you can definitely live comfortably on that career for the rest of your life. And so, like, I know UDIP had their industry panel, which tried to emphasize that. And I just want to say that, like, grad school seems like, do not mistake grad school as like the end all be all of being a physics undergraduate. There are plenty of opportunities and different ways to leverage your degree, and you should look into them, not just grad school. I hope that answered your question.
Jezen, your statement, TAing often, I mean, it's a job, so more job experience always helps, regardless of whether or not you want to get into graduate school.
Do you mean LA?
Yeah, when I say TAing, I mean LAing, like learning assistant or reader. It's a job. So like, you know, if you want to get a job, it's almost completely different than applying to grad school, because grad school is very, very directed. Like your skills in physics will determine your ability in graduate school for physics. But for most jobs, it's not you're going to be a physicist, and the skills that you gain as a physicist are going to directly translate to the work environment. It's more it's more like your work ethic. So if you're able to work X amount of hours and get X GPA while getting X GPA, it shows that you have a high work ethic. You're able to learn while working, and you're a highly motivated person, which is good for getting any job in general. If you want to get more directed jobs, say you want to go into computer science, I mean, picking up coding, like it doesn't even really matter what your level of code knowledge is. They're going to assume that you can learn on the job. So as long as you have some measure of experience in computer science, and you have a good GPA and you are working, like that's going to show really, really well on a resume. It's going to show that, like, maybe I don't have all the skills that you need, but I have a super duper good work ethic. I know the baseline material that I need in order to work for you, and I can pick up skills while I work. And the same is true of engineering or any of the other jobs, the finance jobs, so on and so forth. Like that's less dependent upon your skills as a physicist. Where going into graduate school, it does solely depend on your skills as a researcher / physicist. And I should probably remind everyone that like grad school kind of blows. Like the amount of hours that you work. So you're probably working like 40 to 50 to 60 hours a week during grad school, because you have to, I mean, like in the first 2 years, you may have to TA, take classes, and do research all simultaneously.
Well, it depends on your lab, though.
Well, if you're in a lab, you still like, unless you have a GSR, in which case you have to do a ton of research and take classes simultaneously. And at the end of the day, this translates to like a 60 or 70-hour work week where your take home pay is like between $20,000 and $40,000 a year. Like, and you have to suffer through this for 6 whole years. And the return on investment is like, while can be good, some of the times you won't get as much of a return on investment as if you went immediately into industry. So going to a top graduate school kind of depends, because at the end of the day, if you do really, really good stuff, it doesn't really matter who you work with. But going to graduate school will give you the opportunity to going to a top end graduate school is going to give you the opportunity to network better. Which, what I mean by that, I mean, like if you go to Stanford working under a PI who is like super duper famous, then that PI is going to know, PI is principal investigator. That's the professor that you would work in. That's the head of a lab, a research lab. If your PI is super duper famous, chances are he knows a bunch of different people from a bunch of different universities, and a bunch of different people from a bunch of different universities know him and know the level of work that he does. And if you work under him, then, when you want to go on to get a postdocship, which is essentially the school after graduate school where you just do nothing but research and you make like 80 to 90K instead of 30K, you have a lot more options open to you. And then once you are a postdoc is like the pre-professorship. It's where you try and become a professor from there. And again, when you go to be a postdoc at some world famous lab, chances are you're more likely to be made a professor at some other great school. So if you look at a lot of our professors here, a good number of them went to like Stanford, then MIT, then Harvard, and then here, or like, some measure of all the top schools. But that's not always necessarily true. David Stewart is a great example of this. He went to like a a liberal arts college for undergrad, and then from a liberal arts college he went to like UC Davis, and from UC Davis he went to work at Fermilab, and then from Fermilab he came to work here at UCSB, which is a top school. Like you don't necessarily have to go to a top program. It's just kind of like how if we were all at Stanford right now, it would probably be easier for us to get into graduate school, to get into a better graduate school, and then so on and so forth.
But Kellan, what's wrong with like doing good research at University of Florida or something?
No, there's nothing wrong. It's just it makes it easier. Again, it's like so if you go to Stanford, it's easier for you
get
to
into a good lab, however you measure that, or easier to do good research, or
kind of both, because like good universities will have good research, will have good labs, which will have good research. Well, we'll have more good labs that do good research. You guys are all kind of spoiled here at UCSB because this is a world-renowned university, and like everyone does something impressive. But I mean, I went to a liberal arts college for my first semester, and it was like only 2 professors were doing research, and they weren't really that noted in their fields. Like, so if I wanted to get into research as an undergrad, it would have been way harder there than it is here. Granted, there's more students here, so there's more competition, but like even if you get into the easiest lab to get into at UCSB, you're still working for a very, very good lab on the world stage by like world standards. But again, it's like I'm sure there's many of us who sit here and may have thought like, oh, I got waitlisted from Berkeley or so on and so forth, or I almost got into Stanford. And if I got into Stanford, my grades would have been like, maybe my grades would have been better, and it would have been way easier to go from Stanford to some other great graduate school because it's Stanford and so on and so forth. The same is true for graduate school. Once you get into graduate school, it's a little bit easier to go forward if you're at MIT rather than the University of Kansas. But it's not impossible. It's like if you work really hard and do really good stuff, people will notice. It's just harder, is what I would say.
Okay. I think this would be a good time to transition to. We welcome more questions about grad school, but since there's a lull in the conversation, I think we would like to transition to, at least for now, to the survey responses that we received. So Kenneth, can you put them up? I'll be looking at them directly at the doc, and Kenneth will be putting them up on the stream as well.
Yes. Before we get into that, someone mentioned earlier. Let me find it real quick. It was in the chat. Someone said a physics Discord podcast once a week with one of the professors would be pretty cool. I thought that was really interesting, and I would love to see that happen in the future.
How long would these podcasts be? Like 30 minutes? I don't know if we can get. That'd actually be really cool if we could set up a podcast where like we could get a professor to talk to us for 30 minutes. But that sounds like we would have to. We would have to prepare a set of questions. It feels like one of us needs like some journalism experience, and I don't think we have any journalism experience that we can leverage for this. But we could give it a shot. It would be, if anyone wants to volunteer for this project, then I'm happy to take them.
I can definitely see something like
we
this.
could just like we could like hold another grad advising podcast or something. Like get Dr. B on and have him answer all the questions that people have.
Yeah, and this is great because then we can just have like an audio living on somewhere on some platform, and then someone else in the future can be like, oh look, they had like a podcast for graduate students or graduate applications and stuff like that, or just physics in general too, for anyone really.
This sounds interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here now. Would we distribute on Twitch? Would we put it on? We wouldn't put it on Spotify. We're not that big.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in a
No,
year or
this-
two.
I mean, this is a pretty good format unless people have problems with it.
Yeah.
Well,
Especially
I
since the
don't.
video is going to be staying on Twitch. So if anyone goes to my Twitch channel, then they can just view
Maybe
it
we should
there.
make a UCSB physics Discord, physics channel.
We do. I was going to wait for us to get the email
The
back.
email.
And so that way we can
Mhm.
have it on there and have that one just
That
have
would
all
be-
the videos.
Yeah, we could put all the videos there.
Yep.
Once a week. Let's see now.
I was thinking maybe monthly because I think once a week would be too
of a
much. Yeah.
too much. Once a month. I mean, would we do this on top of the AM? Yeah, we could do this on top of the AMAs. Pick one professor
Yeah.
and have like a podcast where like where we receive questions from the audience and then we talk to the professors like that. Yeah.
We can definitely have like one time a professor and some other times like a group of graduate students that like show their experience and different types of people in the physics community, and then we can get something like that going. I think that's a really wonderful idea.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we could try that. All right, let's note that physics podcast.
All right. Going into the Google form now. So the first thing up is how would you overall rate our Discord? And so mainly got 4s, some 3s, and 1 5. I think that's really good. I kind of wish we got like maybe a 1 or a 2 there to see how we can improve a better. Like have like the other side, because we see people that like it. That's great, but that doesn't help us improve anything because it doesn't show us what we're missing.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment too. Like, I'm happy. It's like I'm happy that we're doing a great job, but like I'm skeptical that we're doing a perfect job. And so I guess the fact that we're getting a 4 not a 5 implies that we're not doing a perfect job.
Mhm.
But I would have still liked to see that 1 or 2 bad review of like I've had a really negative experience, and then we could have addressed that. But you know what? We can't ask for everything. So
Yeah.
like, and the survey was put out late, so we'll take what we got.
Yes.
And I would like to thank everyone who did.
Tyler,
Yes.
tell us what we should be doing better. Like, we're doing average on something. If you have an idea for how we can do like better on that something, then let us know.
Yes, please. You can put in the Twitch chat or you can put it into the Town Hall channel. All right, moving on to the next entry is about how often you view the Discord. So most people 50% of the people, so 4 people that did the Google form, mostly looking at the thing at our server more than 7 times throughout the day. The other big group is 2 to 3 times a day, which I'm guessing is going to be the people that like use the courses channels more than general channel. And then we can go on to the next one. So rating our atmosphere of our Discord in terms of being inclusive and welcoming. I'm really glad to see it more towards the upper end than the lower end, but I believe we can get better with this.
Let's take a look at the comment. What changes or improvements do you think can be made to the atmosphere of our Discord? Maybe more places or channels for people to casually participate in. Like maybe a channel focused around getting specific research related or to more people or something. Let's see now.
We could do like a research advising channel. I mean, the advising channel kind of serves that purpose. But,
I think we should just, instead of doing research advising, we should just do research channel. Just discuss anything and everything about research there.
Yeah.
So would that take over like advanced topics, or would advanced
No,
topics?
advanced topics would be for flexing. Research would be more for like sharing research experiences, like getting like networking, trying to see like who has a position open, or like who's done this, who's done that, what's your experience doing this, what's your experience doing that. So like advanced topics is just about physics, but research is not just about the physics, but like how to do it, where to do it, and like what was your experience. So that's why we'll have a separate topic.
Would research channel be mainly focusing on like the research that's happening at UCSB, or would it also like sprinkle in sometimes like other UCs or other campuses are doing this type of research?
I think what they were saying, or what Kyle
I think
was saying
anywhere's
was
fine.
like, I thought it was like, I think you're talking about personal research experience. I thought that's what you wanted the channel to be. That's how I interpreted what you guys said.
I'm thinking just like like I guess anything research. Like you can talk about your own research and your own research experiences, or you can ask questions about how to get research, or ask how people are doing in their other research and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So not just like uh getting research, but also like I don't.
Yeah, I get
Like
what
yeah, how you're doing, maybe what you're doing,
yeah.
um, something like that.
Something like
I
that.
think
Yeah.
I think the this I guess I'm having a hard time seeing how it differs from advanced topics, but I think I'm starting to get what you're saying.
Yeah, because like
I think
advanced topics. Oh,
it's
go ahead.
a like mix between advanced topics and advising with a research
Okay.
flavor.
Yeah. I think it would be good to have a channel like that on here. This is shameless advertising, but SPS hosts like a bi-weekly coffee hour in the journal club where we talk about research and we just kind of talk about our experiences in research and how to catch up like when you join a lab, how to it's basically just a very casual conversation where we just hang out and we talk about research and give each other advice on how to improve and stuff. So that would also be good to attend, but I think having a channel like that would be cool too.
And I was really stoked to see during, was it after the AMA that one of the new professors posted a Google form to join his research group.
Yo, that was yeah. He was like
That was amazing to see because that was the first time
yeah.
I
He
ever heard
reached
about it.
yeah. He reached out to me. He
Yeah,
was
that
like,
was cool.
hey, can I post about my research position? And I'm just like, it took so much self-control to say, I'll just take it myself. You don't have to post it to the Discord. And I was like, nah, I'll take it for the team. I'll post it for everyone. I was so tempted though to say, I'll do it.
I'm glad you
But
didn't
no,
do that.
I'm gonna apply fairly like everybody else. But yeah.
Mm.
I kind of bragged to him. I kind of told him that we were good. He's going to get 25 to 50 responses on day one, and I don't think that's happening since you need to upload a CV, and I don't think everyone has a CV ready to go.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was pretty cool. I hope.
You also need a recommendation letter.
Yeah, you also need a
Uh,
recommendation letter. Yeah.
yeah, that does make it a bit fun.
Let's see here now. Let's go back to that post. Discord announcement, research opportunity. Yeah. Yeah. Who was this professor? It was.
Do you want to post it again on the town hall so people can see it again?
The Maxwell.
Yeah.
I always forget his last name, but he's the new Astro guy.
Yeah, his research projects look pretty interesting. Very instrumentation based. So lots of simul. I think you're going to be doing a lot of like imaging and stuff like that. Here, I'm going to post it again in the town hall chat without pinging.
Also, we had someone join the voice call. Sid.
Oh, awesome.
I don't know if he wanted to talk.
Oh yeah, sorry. The Twitch is really lagging for me, so I'm just
no
trying.
worries.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. I thought you had a question.
Oh, that's cool. Let's see now. So, moving on to the study nights. Moving on to the study nights. How would you rate the study nights hosted on our Discord? And we got a kind of a spread, mostly a 3 out of 5. Let's look at the comments. Kenneth, can you read the comments out?
Yeah, so we got one that said only attended once, but it was pretty good. I like the split between serious and social study rooms. Another one said, I've never been to the study night because it's hard for me to focus with other people. That said, I don't think I qualified to give a good answer. I think that was a good answer.
Big, I understand that one.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you would go to the PSR and like you wouldn't be able to study there because it's so noisy. Like I went to the PSR and I just put my headphones in and I might as well have been studying at home, but like I study at the PSR so that like I could take off my headphones and ask questions, and then also maybe just get into the mood. Like being around other physicists means I'm less likely to be distracted. But I totally feel the can't study well in a voice call where other people are chatting. It is kind of like catch-22, kind of paradoxical.
Yeah, that's why I usually host the social one because I know I'm not gonna get any studying done, and I'm just like I'll just play video games while we're in here.
Yeah, most of the time that I went to the PSR was either to work with someone else or to like ask my TA a question. and it's hard to replicate that online because graduate students are like LAs and TAs can't really work through Discord through some disclosure because on the Discord platform isn't friendly enough, and so we can't really get that type of like aspect back from the PSR. So we just have to wait until everything goes back to normal in order to have that like sense of environment. But I think having someone else in the same voice channel gives that sense of like, oh, okay, I got to do work because one of my buddies here is doing work too.
Mhm.
Another response was they're chill. They're pretty chill, and I enjoy them quite a bit. I think it's fine as is. And another one says, I haven't been, but can't leave blank. So I
Oh,
guess
you can leave things blank.
yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. So, not too much to go off of there, but what do you guys think?
Wait,
There's
with the can't leave blank, did you make it a required question?
I did not.
it's not
Oh,
required. There's no little asterisks.
okay.
But do you guys have any ideas on how to make it a little bit more? I guess.
What I missed.
Or we were talking about the study nights, the study grinds.
What do we think of the frequency as it stands?
Frequency. I think we can cut it down to 2 days. If I'm being honest, I think we could cut it down to 2 days.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The Wednesday ones tend to be pretty dead.
Yes.
Monday one, I'm not sure. I'm always in the serious PSR, and there are not many people in that one. I can always switch to the social PSR if I need to. Especially if I start streaming Subnautica or Outer Wilds again.
I mean, it's not that hard for us to hold them.
I was thinking about
Okay.
maybe doing something more class related or class
Yes, sir.
focused. Because I feel like if we do it just overall, it's not as like attractive to go to these things. So if it's more of like, okay, like my classmates are all going to be on this time, then I think that'll be a little bit more might give people more initiative to go to like a voice channel and hang out.
It's actually a good point. We do have like, people specifically connected to a class.
Mm-hmm.
And like, for example, I know Physics 24 is due Wednesday night. So like I will always go in a Discord call and like work on Physics 24 that night. But like I don't always do it in the study grind. Whereas like Sarah is the 24 LA and like sits there and like is, not really doing anything with physics related just because like attendance is low. But like if we themed it as like, hey, Physics 24 study grind night, maybe that would get good traction, especially with the midterm next week.
So
Yeah, and we could potentially kind of poll, or maybe not poll, but try to get an idea from the channels themselves what the best day for that would be for each class, and then say that on these particular days, particularly at those classes, maybe.
So maybe we can try using Physics 24 as an experiment right now, especially since we have one of the LAs as our as a staff member, so we can easily communicate. So like maybe we'll transition our study grinds from just general study grinds into like targeted. We work with the LAs and the TAs on the server and have them host a Discord call or something like that, and then people can work together in the same room with an LA present so that they can answer questions.
Yeah. The only issue I see with that is that theoretically we would be giving LAs like more work time, and they don't get paid for that.
That is true.
But I guess we could do it on a volunteer basis.
So
I know some classes also organize their own study grinds for like right before midterms. We could potentially like make those official.
I don't think we have to do that. I think honestly, like allowing people to organize themselves is perfectly fine. I mean, like for example, like during in-person learning, it's not like people would organize a huge Physics 103 study grind. Like it's just that you have your own friends and you go and you study, and we have a platform for that, and that's the class channels. And like,
but like I remember when like homework would be due, you would see all your classmates in the PSR right before it was due. So
yeah,
we can have like something set up, so be like encourage people to like join voice channels before the homework. Like for 129, like Kyle, like we were in the voice channel for like 2 weeks ago when like homework was due at like a regular time, and where we were all in there trying to help debug each other. And so
I mean,
and
I don't think that the call is necessary though, because like on the chat channel, like whenever the 129 homework is due, like the chat channel just explodes. It's just like without having to be in voice call, and sometimes people may find being in voice call distracting, but like the chat channel is less distracting, and it just lights up whenever homework is due. Like people screenshotting code, people debugging each other, like. So I think we're getting a little kind of off track here, but I think we don't need to step in and like officiate anything for any of the classes, because I think the class channels and the class voice channels are doing their purpose. And if anything, these study grinds, while you could study in them, I think they're supposed to be social. And so
I think
So-
I think what Natalie was saying wasn't necessarily make them we officiate them ourselves, but maybe like direct people to them. Is that what you were saying, Natalie? Is that what you
Yeah,
meant
that
by
is
what were you
that
saying,
is
Alex?
true. I mean, we are children of the 21st century, so if you
Yeah,
give
that might
someone
not
the
be a bad
option
idea.
between like text and talk, like they're just going to choose to text over it. But like specifically studying is something really good to do in a verbal setting, especially if we have like the LA for that class president able to help out. And then
Yeah,
we
we
really
would-
hone in on the study grind aspect of study grind.
And I think one
Yeah.
thing to consider is that one of the benefits to potentially having something like that organized by an LA is that even in the current setup where we have the ability to just randomly go into class channels and ask questions, there are still going to be a subset of people who are maybe too shy to do so or too shy to reach out and form study groups. But if you're in a class and you see that the LA is hosting a study grind right before the homework's due every week, then you might not be so shy to join that and then make new friends that way.
that's a good idea. Okay, I'll stand by that. Also, if the LAs can like reach out to the professors and get paid for that hour, like make it their office. Wait, hold on. They have office hours though, right?
Yeah, most LAs have an hour of office hour. I don't
Yeah,
know
they
if we're allowed to
really
have
get
them on.
Ours
Yeah.
We could always use our platform as a way to
Why
promote
not?
office hours.
Yeah, office hours are really important. The I didn't really go to them my first 2 years, and like now I'm just like they kind of double the speed at which I finish homework assignments. to
Yeah,
be honest.
they're really important. Maybe we could somehow get the office hours. I don't know. I was thinking maybe we could get them paid for the extra hour they did, like
That'd
whenever
be a big sell.
Yeah,
That'd be a big
Discord
sell.
isn't compliant. That's really hard to do. But what would actually be really easy to do is to pin office hour links and the Zoom links and the times in the class descriptions. So when people go to their class, they can really easily check and say, "Oh, when are office hours? I should figure out how to do this problem better."
Okay.
We can also make something for like from the bot. So like if the LA says like, "Oh, these are my office hours," then the bot can regularly do it for them, so that they don't have to keep reminding themselves, "Oh, go to Discord to like post something." That makes sense. Like have it a little bit more easy for the LAs to like not always promote themselves. Have like the bot promote it.
Yeah, something like office hours starting now, and just send a message at like 5 p.m. when Sarah's office hours start, and send a link to the send a link to her Zoom room, and even like CLAS, because I talked to my boss specifically on the topic of, hey, what would you think if I invited people who aren't registered with CLAS to join the meeting? And he's like, absolutely, just tell people. So, if I were to send out, I have a bot doing that and inviting all the Physics 1 kids every time I have office hours, 3 times a day on Monday and Wednesday to come join, that would definitely get my attendance up and let me reach out and help more people.
Nice.
Okay. So, we'll have to reach out to the LAs, and I think we can first use Physics 24 as a trial run to see how it goes. Like, trying to have more involvement in the Discord right before homework is due, for example, and then from there, because yeah, you're right. I do
We
miss
could start
that.
talking to Ross.
I guess a clever way of doing it is to add the role for LAs and TAs, except in the class-specific channel, so it only hits the ones that are registered in that channel. And you could just add them, like add verified LA, and then ask them if they would be willing to host something right before the homework is due.
Wouldn't it be better just direct message them?
I'm
So I
lazy. I want to
accidentally
I
hit
want-
people. Like, for
Yeah, all
example,
the-
Sarah
if we're
is a
talking-
verified LA, but if you did it in 115, it would tag her there as well.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Yeah, so I'm sorry for the LAs that are gonna get tagged. Okay, fine, we'll direct message them.
So, like, if we're just talking about 24 for now, like, I know who all they are, and what their usernames are, so it's not going to be like a hard thing to figure out which ones they are and direct message them.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, my whole thing is like I don't from like a work perspective, we're essentially like giving them more work. Than
Yeah,
they
we
get
should
paid for.
definitely stress that obviously it's a volunteered thing and it's their option of whether or not they want to do it. But yeah.
Okay.
All right. Moving on in the form, the next one up is how would you rate the game nights hosted on our Discord, and this was an out of the water average, which I would say it's also average, maybe even below average, in my opinion. And so
average.
C's get degrees, am I right?
Exactly.
I do think we've had an issue with consistency just because there's been a lot on our schedules and we've kind of just forgotten to host them or know when they are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely been an issue that's degraded them in my eyes. Just not being able to have them really because we mess it up.
Yes, I think exactly that. All right, so one of the responses are haven't attended. Same as the previous question. I need to game more on my free time. Also, I think they wanted more games. Can't say, haven't been, never been to one, haven't been, but can't leave blank. So I'm pretty sure you could have leave it blank, but he's just telling us that he hasn't gone to them, and so we have a lot of people that haven't gone, is what I'm assuming, and we've seen that. We haven't seen like a huge amount of people attend those. I'm not sure if it's because the games we choose or if it's the lack of games that we have, or maybe not advertised as well as it can be. I
guess one thing I'd say is, or what I've noticed, like from being involved in a club last year and like leadership of a club. Obviously SPS was less active last year than it is this year, but I think a particular issue with like physics student population is that it's very hard to justify like them in their free time or them where they could be studying coming and doing something else. And so a lot of times it is, unless the event is explicitly geared towards some sort of thing that furthers their academic pursuit, like a research or a workshop kind of thing, there tends to be low attendance because it doesn't feel as justifiable to the student population.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense because
it's a high intensity major, kind of. Not to toot our own horn, but it is.
Yeah.
Hardly. That's just what I found. I could be wrong, but that's just what I've found.
No, I've definitely seen that too. Because from like when I was on UCSB, it was I would hardly go to like any I wouldn't really go to social events, not because I like didn't want to meet new people. It's because like I already knew people and I was like already hanging out with other people and like didn't really care too much about that. If that makes sense. But it's I would say our target audience for like now is I guess the freshmen and maybe the transfers, since they don't have like that initial like couple weeks to meet new people. And I'm guessing it's gonna be similar for like during summer. There's gonna be a lot of people that don't know each other, and it's gonna be a little weird because I'm assuming it's not everything's not gonna be back to normal. So hopefully this gives them a little bit more of a freedom to explore other groups. Someone posted in the Townhall text channel.
Let's get to that after. It's a good question. I think we should devote a majority of that to that question. But let's finish the forum first. That's my opinion. Just to finish, yeah,
because we're almost done. We're
almost done. Yeah, so let's get to that and then go back to the town hall questions. But that is the town hall chat has a very good question about inclusivity training, and we'll definitely address that after we finish this. So don't worry, we're not glossing over the issue. How would you rate the Professor AMA on our Discord? 2 4s, 6 5s. That's a pretty good success right there.
Yes, that is a banging success right there.
We like that.
Love to see that.
I think it was better than we could have ever expected, honestly. Especially when Tim Brandt randomly joined. It was like, I'm just like, what are you? He was like, who's Tim Brad? Did we invite him?
I was like,
No, but like,
whoa.
sure, okay, yeah, sure, that's
Yeah,
great.
I was sleep deprived and I thought it was good. So that's how good it.
Yeah. I loved it. I was like smiling through the whole thing. I was like, oh my god, people are actually using this. Like people are actually and professors are answering. Like it wasn't just like one sided thing where students were just throwing questions and professors were just like, no, I'm not gonna answer these. It was like almost all the questions got answered, which is amazing to see.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Should we do one right before, like, not the week of, like, not like the week before Dead Week? I think we can do another one, maybe.
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking.
I
yeah.
think that's a sweet spot because otherwise people are just gonna be drowning and studying.
Yeah. So the week before Dead Week, we'll try to host another one. Should we try to get more professors, less professors, a different subset of professors?
Well, let's look at the responses on the Google form. And so one of them said, ask professors to clarify more which questions they're responding to. That was the thing that we saw in the beginning when there was so many questions and we didn't know what professor the question was answering, and so we asked them to use what we call the weld method, which he was putting the questions in brackets and then answering after that question was stated. So he restated the question and then answered it. And so we told the professors to do it afterwards. Like I want to say like maybe an hour afterwards. And we're like, oh, professors, can you please set it to this format so that students can see which question you're answering? And I think for the most part, they all started to do that. For the next one, we'll definitely clarify to do that. Otherwise, it's going to be a little weird for them to, or for people to see in the future. It's going to be weird what questions they were answering. The other post, another comment said, I'm kind of disappointed that I missed it, but I read both responses and questions. They seemed very informative. I guess I can only ask it would be hosted again in the future. Yes, we hope to host another one by the end of the quarter. I was also thinking about this, since people might have missed it, and this time, since we're going to be planning a little bit more better, maybe have a little system so people can submit their questions beforehand. And so when the AMA starts, then their questions can be posted. And so that way no one really misses to submit their question. That makes sense.
We could do that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We could submit a question sheet. So like if you can't attend the AMA, we can get like a list of questions you want to ask professors, and then depending on how many receive, we might have to like kind of vet them through and be like select which ones to ask. But so yeah, it would be better to ask in person. So then, since then, you could just post your question. But yes, totally. If you can't attend, then we'll set up a Google Doc beforehand or a Google form, and you can ask your question. We'll have a list of questions that we can ask professors.
Mm-hmm.
I would encourage you to show up in person though, because then you can actually directly at one of the professors, and then you can get like a personalized response. Like you can actually directly mention Professor Weld, and then get some of his opinions on like on research and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yes, we'll totally try to get more leadway and some more organization going on making sure the AMA runs more smoothly. In terms of making a more organized ways of asking questions, I don't know, the AMAs that I usually refer when I think of AMAs, I think of Reddit AMAs, and Reddit AMAs is usually just like a shotgun of questions being spewed out. And then the responder just picks and chooses the ones he wants to respond to, and they respond that way. Obviously, the forum format of Reddit and our Discord format are very different. Our Discord moves a lot faster, so you have to scroll up. But I think for largely, I don't see any way to majorly change the format in a way so that questions are more organized. I think the intention. Yeah, go ahead.
I think we might want to ask the professors how they feel about it also, because maybe for them it felt really chaotic and may have like it might have felt very chaotic because they're not used to like having all that stuff scrolling by as fast as we are.
That may be where a podcast format comes in handy for professors. Like I know Dr. Feigenson got a little overwhelmed, or at least it seemed that she did. Maybe we could offer them a podcast style Q&A that may be more suited to their
it'd be more moderated for them.
Comfortability with reading chat and answering questions.
So it would basically be like one of the staff members talking to the professor, and then us staff member basically being the interpreter for all the questions.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, you could do a podcast AMA in the sense that you have people submit their questions, a staff member picks a question and then asks the professor, and then everybody watches or listens to the podcast to hear that question answer back and forth. So that way the staff member doesn't have to really interpret the professor at all, but they're just kind of slow feeding them the questions so that the professor doesn't have to scroll through chat.
okay, that works. The
Yeah,
only
that's a
issue
cool way
I
to
have
curate it and make it more personal.
that the only issue I have with that is that it's not saved in terms of the not saved in terms of like text history. But if we can record it, but we have to get permission first, of course.
Mhm.
If we want to record it, but like if we could have the question saved for posterity, that'd be great. If we could record it, that'd be awesome. If not, understandable.
We could definitely have also
Well, I think
someone
that's how we
else.
should like advertise these Q&As. Like if we go up to a professor and ask them to participate, we're going up with the intention of recording and posting this on like a Google Drive for all of the physics department to see.
Okay.
So
So I guess we'll have two different AMAs, a podcast style AMA and like a text chat based style AMA. And then when we do our AMAs on the 9th, we can try to do one of each and see how it goes. On the
Yeah.
9th,
yeah, probably not the same day.
not the same day. No, not the same day.
Yeah.
Not the same day.
I think a good way of saying it is AMA is the text based, and then like the Q&A is podcast.
A Q&A podcast and a text-based AMA. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's move on to what other events and channels would you like to see in the Discord? Totally student-run panels where we have older students or grad students talk about topics would be very interesting. Okay. So we could see if we can hold like mixers or something like that where we have juniors and seniors give an opportunity to talk to freshmen. We'll see if we can organize something like that, and maybe a different channel for advanced advising. There are a lot of questions about grad classes and overloading and stuff that are definitely reasonable questions to ask, but it also makes the impression that everyone should be doing that. So it seems like, yeah, I can kind of see that. A lot of people, when you see one person asking, should I be taking grad classes? And then like you get a couple of people like saying, yeah, I took this grad class, I'm taking that grad class. It makes it seem like more people are taking grad classes than actually are. And I think it's normal that like it's normal not to take a grad classes if you're an undergraduate, just because you're an undergraduate, not a graduate student. But the idea of getting a grad advising channel for grad classes, what do you think, Kenneth? Or advanced advising? I'm not sure. Advanced advising.
I think it helps like mitigate some of like maybe a little bit of imposter syndrome, because people are like looking at these advisings thinking that like it's normal advising, but then they go on and they see like, oh snap, like there's a lot of people on here that are taking grad classes and we're just undergrads, and so it might be a little bit intimidating, and maybe like a little warning symbol just calling it like advanced advising might be a little bit better so that they know like this isn't normal, like this is something that like only the 5% of people that go to graduate school ask, and so I think it can help. I think it'll be a good test run to do.
Okay. So we'll have
Yeah.
okay.
On a slight counterpoint, although I'm not opposed to having those channels as well, I believe every time that grad classes or like taking advanced schedules has come up in the advising or other channels, it's always been accompanied by people saying like, this is not something that you have to do. In fact, it's probably not a good idea unless like you're, I don't know, one of very few people in this department. Most people don't do it. So I think some of it has been mitigated by people stepping in and saying that it is like crazy for most undergrads to take grad classes or something like that. But I could also see having a separate channel for grad advising, especially one that's also used for like application advising and such.
Yeah, I agree with Natalie, and I'm particularly always kind of cautious the further we stratify the Discord population, because it can lead to like decreased activity just by nature of feeling like nobody else is talking in your channel.
Mm-hmm.
So you won't talk in your channel. Whereas if there's more people talking, even if they're talking about something that maybe you don't understand, the activity will kind of make you want to join in on the conversation. It's the same reason why some study nights work and some study nights don't. Is the study nights where there's a lot of us already in the calls, people are more likely to join because there's a lot of people in the calls, and so they feel more kind of stimulated, I guess. But yeah, I wouldn't be against it, but I'm always cautious when we suggest stratifying the channels more.
That's why I think we should, if we're gonna do it, we should frame it more as like general grad advising. Like, this is a channel for applications, for like questions about what should I do if I want to go to graduate school in the next year or two, or other things relating to the general sphere of grad applications.
Yeah, this also comes back to the channel we had about grad advising, or not grad advising, but like grad posts, like application posts.
That got almost zero traction.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it's fair to say it got zero traction, because by nature it kind of requires a startup time.
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yeah, it also requires like starting it at the correct time in the quarter.
Yes.
And I don't know, like it's something we could bring back at the right time under the right circumstances, but I think it's better to start with a generalized, just grad advising text channel, because
I think
that's
more useful.
what most of the rest of our channels are like.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think the original grad advising one, it would work better once our population ages up, because we'll have more people who have graduated and applied. Like when I graduate and apply, I would definitely post my application there, right? But I'm not at that point yet,
Yeah.
so I can't.
All right.
Okay, so
moving along.
the UCSB Discord staff will be meeting with the Physics Climate Committee on Thursday. Well, if you have anything you want us to bring up on your behalf, we can do so here. The response is the Discord has honestly made getting to know my peers and other physics students during the pandemic possible, and I can't thank it enough. Aw. If there's any other physics or STEM students who are having trouble with getting through the pandemic, this Discord would be a great place to get more help. Okay. So basically, we got to toot our own horn there. All right.
My heart.
My heart. All right, let's go address the questions that were asked in the Town Hall channel.
Yes.
Okay. Before we move on,
go for that,
one quick comment. I think somewhat in the vein of this last comment, I think we should tell the climate committee that, or we should make sure that they understand how good of an opportunity they have for polling the general UCSB physics community in a less formal fashion, and maybe more specific, like individuals can respond to questions posted here, and a discussion can be like continued in a semi-anonymous manner. That I guess what I'm saying is, I don't know if the climate committee and or the administration has really thought about what opportunities they could have of interacting, using their ability to interact with us here in a way to collect information and better help the community as a whole.
We can definitely show them that one post that I forgot who posted it, but they did in our general chat, and where they asked about I think it was the lower division and like how they felt about it, and I forgot who posted it, but there was like a whole entire chat that people started commenting about, like, oh, this is how I felt about those classes, or like I think I even commented something like that.
We talking about Yeah, when they posted in, I think the AMA question thing about like having issues with lower div classes, and then everyone in the channel was like chiming in.
I think so. Yeah. Because then that shows them that like you can get responses immediately, and from the people that like actually care enough to respond that fast. And so I think that gives them a lot of power to like understand the undergraduates and like their community essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm hoping that our professor channels can not only be a place where students can ask questions, but professors can also ask questions of students, like to gauge their I guess happiness or overall experience during the quarter in like this kind of anonymous fashion, anonymous semi-formal or semi-informal.
Okay, so
Anyway,
going back into the town hall now, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
All right,
So what was asked is, has there been any consideration of Discord staff attending some of the official training on stuff like bystander intervention to improve inclusivity? I think it might be a helpful toolkit for addressing the issues as they arise. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I know that we have to attend some of these trainings as we transition into a club, but definitely we are in that process of getting official training on like bystander intervention and stuff like that. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess
the
one thing I'd like to say is like, I don't know about you guys, but like I got some of the training from not being SPS, like the SPS board, and also like through the Safer Sex peer program, we got similar kind of intervention training. So there is at least one mod who has gone through like various aspects of that kind of training and in different kind of social situations. So we do have people who are like kind of informed in those types of things on the moderating team.
yeah, and I think this being like a text-based environment also shines a different like aspect in intervening in some situations. It's different from like actually having like a meeting in person than it is from having it being in text. And so there's that, I think there's that little disconnect in where what we're doing is not, I guess, original, but it's different from what uh, presentations are doing. If that makes any sense. But we are trying to evolve. We're trying to understand on situations as they come up, and to most of us, I think they're somewhat new, just because Discord is different than any other club. But yeah, that's my little take on it. Another user commented, said, if there ends up being a grad advising channel, it might be also good to have an industry advising channel or other options post graduation, since that's what most people do. I think that's because
Honestly, I think um, instead of having a grad advising channel, we should have a post undergraduate advising channel. Instead of making it for graduate school, it should be for post undergraduate school. That was just my post undergraduate or post graduation, something like that. Yeah, essentially what Alex has typed out. Yeah, like a advising on what to do after graduation sort of thing. So you can talk about grad school there, of course, and then you can talk about industry, and then you can talk about Wall Street if you want to go to Wall Street. You could talk about no. Yeah, I think that's what I think if I had to choose one, I think I would go with that one. uh, folding the grad advising and the industry channels all into one post undergraduate advising channel. But that's just my opinion. Um, let's see now. Anything else, Kenneth? I think I interrupted you, but
no, no. Yeah, I think that's all the responses we've gotten.
Are there any final statements that anyone wants to make about this town hall? It's 9:48 right now. It's about 12 minutes early, but honestly, I was expecting to close this down after 30 minutes. So
Yeah, I
the
was
fact
too.
the fact that we got this far is pretty good. Does anyone have any final thoughts to mention? Otherwise, we'll
How
call this
often do we want to run these? Is this the once a quarter thing?
We could-
once at the middle of the quarter, once at the end of the quarter.
Okay.
Is our emoji game good? Do we need
Is
more
our-
emojis?
Oh, is that in the? Did they?
No,
Put
that's just my thing.
Is our emoji game good? You know what? I should have put that in the Discord. In the Discord thing, just like a chance to upload images for more emojis. I think our okay. I think our emoji game is good, given that we're a physics Discord. Like we can't have like lewd emojis, we can't have anime emojis, we can't have like gamer emojis, and we can't have like emojis that are too dank. Because if the emojis are too dank, then it kind of turns off like the non-Twitch gamer part of our section of our.
What about professor emojis? Do we need more?
Professor
Like, is
emojis
there
are the
anyone out
greatest.
there?
I think those are great.
Is there
So far
any
we-
of the professors that we need?
I think we need some people to make the professor emojis more dank. Like we can like deep fry some of the professor emojis and make them more useful like that.
Because
I'm starting a little poll in the general chat. If we want to just run that for like a day, I'm kind of curious what the results would be.
I'm curious to see it too, because I would love to see more professor emojis. Because then once they get into the Discord, they'll be like, wow, like this community actually likes the professors. Like to show like some little thing.
But then there'd be a popularity contest to see which professor has the most emojis.
Good.
And then we have professors submit silly photos that we can turn into emojis.
Yeah. I think
Want more
that's
silly Dr. B emojis.
dude. His
There's
emojis
no
are
way.
so good. I love the little hands in next to his ears. Like, huh? What'd you say?
Yeah, we have to. It would honestly actually take a little work to make them like legitimately good memeable emojis.
Mm-hmm.
But
I
like,
think they're already pretty good, to be honest. Like they're pretty good quality.
I think Smug Blaze is pretty good. Hyper Weld is pretty good too.
Ah, yes. I think that was one of my first ones I made.
Yeah, I think that was one of the
I
first ones.
had two versions of it, and I sent you both of them. I was like, which one's good?
Yeah,
and
this
you're
was back in this was back summer, right before fall. Yeah, I remember that.
yeah. Good times.
The Dr. B one in black and white is great as well.
Let me see.
So is the Dr. Butt.
Oh, his young self, Dr. B Young.
Yes.
Yeah, that was good. I think I got it in one of the forms I made. And also the other Dr. B one was also
If we can
submitted.
get one of the professors making the Poggers face, my life would
Dude.
be complete. The Pog face.
I think it has to be a younger professor in order for that to
Imagine
happen.
Early doing the Pog face.
Kenneth, I guess one thing, if we could work on getting the journal club role
Oh,
going so that I can send instead of pinging at everyone, like I can just ping at journal club people.
I can definitely set that up. I'm gonna add that.
That would be good.
Well, I'm gonna head out. Thank you. This was great, guys. See ya.
Yeah,
All right. Thanks, Alex, for staying this long.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
I think we're going to close it here. Thank you
Yeah.
for attending. For those of you who submitted questions, submitted to our response survey, or just even listen to us, thank you. It's viewers like you that make the Discord run. So with that cheesy statement, I'm out. See you guys later.
All right. Good night, y'all.